All right, I'd like to get everyone's attention, please. I call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. March 13th meeting of the City of Dauphin. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. I'd also just like to note that Councillor Bellemare is joining us remotely from far away. So welcome, Councillor Bellemare. I'd like to read the first motion moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting agenda be amended as follows. Do we have any amendments? We have none. We'll move on. And we'll move on. So moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin and seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that council accepts the regular council meeting agenda as presented. Moving on by moved by Councillor Daly and seconded by all those in favor of the carry. Thank you, Charlotte, for reminding me. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, and that would be the regular council meeting of February 27th, 2023. Any questions or concerns regarding that motion? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor, please indicate. Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin and seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the poetry reading from Martin Van Loon. Martijn is here because Peter's not, apparently.
No. Peter hurt his back this morning, and he tried heavily medicated to come and do this because he really wanted it. But he just texted me at about 3 o'clock. He says, "Can you fill in for me?" So
And you graciously agreed.
Well, yeah. How can you say no?
Sure. Okay.
So, and I ran home and I got my trusty WB Yeats, and he wanted to read a couple of short poems to celebrate Poetry Month and the Day of Poetry. Not sure who wrote them into it in the first place, but it's a fun theme nevertheless. And as you know me, any opportunity for a little performance, you know. So
you're gonna
anyway,
read it. You're gonna read a short poem, right?
There are going to be 3 really short poems.
Excellent. Carry on. The floor is yours.
Something romantic, something funny, and something that's close to my heart. So W.B. Yeats is a poet that you might know. He's a guy. He's such a romantic, and that's why I love him, because he's overly romantic. And he actually chased the same girl for the bigger part of his life, proposing to her 3 times, and she said no all 3 times. So you can just kind of imagine what his thoughts were on love. Kathy, you like this, so I gotta wear my glasses because you can see. Never give all the heart. Never give all the heart for love. Will hardly seem worth thinking of. To passionate women, if it seem certain, and they never dream, that it fades out from kiss to kiss for everything that lovely is. But a brief, dreamy, kind delight, oh, never give the heart outright. For they, for all smooth lips can say, have given their hearts up to the play. And who could play it well enough if deaf and dumb and blind with love? He that made this knows all the cost, for he gave all his heart and lost. So yeah, be careful. This short little poem is called Yes, No by Joanna Fuchs. My turn signal wasn't working, so I asked for help from a friend. Stand behind the car, I said. Let's get this problem to an end. When I turned the signal on, if it's working, let me know. I hit the blinker, and then I heard, Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. The last one is very quick. It's called The Actor, of course. No discourse or sermon can reach us through feeling to reason like us. No author can stir us and teach us with lessons as subtle and true. Your words and your gestures obeying, we weep or rejoice with your part. And the player behind all his playing, he ought to be great at his art. That's it.
Thank you very much, Martine. I know Kathy has a. Councillor Bellamere, did you need to comment now? This is like,
Okay, there is a lot in that first poem, but I don't really think this is the time to go through that. So thank you, Martine. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Councillor Bellamere. Thank you, Martine. And just want to note for the record that Councillor Sticilo has also joined us. So he's also joining us virtually. So Councillor Sticilo and Councillor Bellamere are on the big screen in front of us. So I call for the question, be resolved that we accept the information presented by Martine in regard to the poetry reading. All those in favor, please indicate. Carried. Thank you. Next, we'll move into the consent agenda items, and we have a number of things to go through. We have one action item. It's a proclamation regarding what Martine was just talking about in terms of World Poetry Day and National Poetry Month. And I asked Councillor Ray to read that proclamation, please.
Whereas we recognize the cultural importance of language and literacy as the primary means of conveying knowledge, and whereas we agree that literature is defined as words raised to an art form, and whereas we acknowledge that poetry is amongst the oldest forms of literature and that it aims to express humankind's greatest hopes, fears, loves, and dreams, and whereas we understand that literacy is nurtured by the sharing and the promotion of all forms of literature, and whereas United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization has declared observance of World Poetry Day on March 21st every year, and whereas we encourage our citizens to enrich themselves through partaking in all forms of culture, we support the idea of promoting literature and specifically poetry in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2023 as World Poetry Day and April 2023 as National Poetry Month.
Thank you, Councillor Ray. I'd also like to move on to the outstanding water accounts that have been added to taxes. Be it resolved that the following water accounts be added to taxes. We have two accounts. One on roll number 0173400 for $19.72 and 0130400 $159.27 for tenants not paying their final utility bill. That's for a total of $178.99, and that's recommended by the Director of Finance and our utility clerk. We have a number of filing items that were received from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. A notice about the annual spring convention, Parkland Director's update for February, several member advisories, the district resolutions from June 2023, and information regarding the 2023 provincial budget, and a news release where the AMM commended the provincial government for ending the operational funding freeze for municipalities, and a news bulletin dated March 3rd, 2023. We received a number of information items from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the FCM Connect from February 28th, March 7th, and March the 10th, and the FCM Voice of February 27th and March the 6th, and the Municipal Marketplace from February 27th, 2023. There was a news release by the provincial government, by the Minister of Education and the Premier in regards to the provincial government's decision regarding early childhood learning and the $10 day daycare, which was announced last week. We have some information from Manitoba Municipal Relations, the 2023 assessment levy for the City of Dauphin from the province, and the 2023 budget information. The Prairie Mountain Health Plus newsletter from March 2023. From the Minister of Families, from the provincial government, a collaborative homelessness strategy for Manitoba that was announced very recently, and the program levy from the Intermountain Watershed District in regards to conservation. These are recommended by myself and the city manager. I'd like to read the motion moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that all the items listed in red under item 5C, the consent agenda, be approved and form parts of these minutes. Anyone have any comments, questions regarding the consent agenda items? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, call that carried. Be it moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following corporate report for our regular council meeting, and that's from the city manager for the month of February. Charlotte is here. Charlotte, do you want to speak to some of the items in your report?
Oh, sure. I don't think any of it, though, is romantic, funny, but they're all near and dear to my heart. February is a short month as it is, but I have a whole page of meetings that I attended. So apparently that was that took a lot of my time, and I was also away for 6.5 days. So I think February might be a national meeting month for me. Just a handful of updates. City of Dauphin continues to work with Pine Creek and Ebb and Flow regarding their addition to reserve process, and we are getting a lot closer to creating our municipal development and services agreement. We have brought in our respective legal advisors and are working at getting that agreement to the point where we can review it by our respective councils and then enter into that. And that is one of the things that must be done first before that land can be added to reserve. So that's checking off the box of that, and basically outlining how that land will be treated in perpetuity once it gets added to reserve. Next one is an update regarding our community social services meeting, as well as community safety and wellbeing plan update. So I did attend, along with Mayor Bosiak and Councillors Daly and Ray, a meeting at the Dauphin Friendship Center, along with about 15 other social service providers. And we've been talking about how we can serve our community better. From 2 meetings ago, the City of Dauphin had a couple tasks. One was to create a database that all of us social service providers can populate so that we can share information with each other. And that database has been created, and we're in the testing phase of it, but it's looking like that's something that we can deliver upon. Secondly is a map, and with our mapping capabilities with staff in our office, we were able to give a first draft of a map, again, that talks about social services in our community and has some important phone numbers and important spots on it. So those talks continue. Also, we've been talking for 10 months now about this community safety and wellbeing plan. And I was, I don't know if the word is happy, but I guess I found out in the middle of February that the province had let out an RFP for consultants to bid on the work to become a consultant to help us through that process. So the RFP closes March 14th, that's tomorrow, and will be awarded by March 30th, so a couple weeks after that. So I'm looking forward to April, which will be 12 months since the announcement that we were getting going through the process for one of these plans to actually have a consultant to help us take those next steps. Next update is about the Dauphin Airport, and so February was one of the months that we have our quarterly meeting, and we did that on February 16th. We discussed regular board things like budget items and from going forward in 2023, the 2022 budget and where that landed, as well as just regular operational items. Also, not part of that meeting, but just that came to light or got restarted, I guess, maybe the week after. NAV Canada, they are a not-for-profit organization that provides navigational services to all airports in Canada. They started an operational review back in early 2020 of a handful of airports, and it was basically taking a look at the operations in the airport and what the air traffic is and what the use of the airport is, and to see if the services that they provide, the navigational services they provide, were appropriate for the activity in the airport. The airport manager and I had participated via Zoom meetings in 2020, probably early 2021 as well, and we provided input for what we thought about the operation of our airport and the navigational services. And then COVID kind of stalled things out. However, it did restart toward the ends of 2022. So I attended a stakeholder update regarding Brandon's flight service station in February, and then we had one that was specific to Dauphin about a week and a half later. So the reason I attended Brandon is they provide flight services, basically control tower information to Dauphin. There is not someone sitting in a control tower in Dauphin that oversees the comings and goings of planes. However, through technology, cameras and radio equipment, Brandon's control tower can see Dauphin, and it monitors Dauphin's airspace as well between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Now, NAV Canada is reviewing Brandon as well, and right now they are proposing going from a 24/7 model in Brandon to something starting at 8 a.m. and going till 10 p.m. So as a result of a big hour cut in Brandon, that would result in a small hour cut in Dauphin. So moving from starting at 6 a.m. here now, it would start at 8 a.m. So Councillor Stakilo attended that Dauphin-specific stakeholder review meeting with me, as he is a member of the airport board, and thought it would be great to have a couple ears hearing what they had to tell us, rather than just one. They've also followed up with an email that we can provide comment back regarding this proposed change of hours. We also talked at that meeting that we would check with other stakeholders besides just the airport authority to see if there's anybody else who has anything to say about it. And so we will do that too. Last thing I can update is that I did attend a little bit of training. Again, Municipal Emergency Measures Organization, Manitoba Emergency Measures Organization, EMO, has been offering a lot of training. And so in February, I attended a full-day training about the role of the Municipal Emergency Coordinator, how that role leads municipalities through emergencies. And so it was really valuable to network with neighboring municipal representatives and see how they walked through some of the different scenarios. And then another training opportunity through Manitoba Municipal Relations was a full-day training in Brandon regarding council roles and responsibilities, municipal finance and code of conduct, and general governance and operations. It was another good networking opportunity. That concludes my report.
Do any councillors have any questions regarding that? Or Devin, do you have, or Councillor Stakila, do you have anything to add to the airport conversation that Charlotte was discussing?
Nothing really further. As always, Charlotte was able to encapsulate pretty much everything that was talked about at that. But the one thing I guess I can mention is that a lot of their studies and a lot of this study, as well as a lot of the things that they do, they looked at the data and I guess the reduction in services provided to the Dauphin Airport based on the amount of traffic that they have in those hours is extremely minimal, and really I don't think it's going to impact the the procedures or the goings on at the airport here with much concern at all. But as mentioned, there will be an opportunity for stakeholders to comment and to provide their information. That's about it.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Councillor Stakilo. So just because there is not someone monitoring the airspace in those off hours does not mean that the airport cannot get used as part of a training to be a pilot. There's a protocol that pilots use when there's not a control tower available. And so the pilots have been using that protocol in the evening and nighttime hours for years now. So basically the change is adding 2 more hours to that time where they use the protocol.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks, Councillor Stakilo. Any other questions from any other councillor? Oh, Kathy, sorry, Councillor Bellemare.
Okay, thank you. Charlotte, in your report on February 1st, where you mention a social services database and a map, and you have the GIS tech that's at that meeting, so that's quite intriguing. So what are you anticipating that is going to look like, and how do you anticipate it being used when it's eventually done?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as part of that meeting, the social service providers talked about things that they could use for clients to help them navigate the systems. And one of the things that one of the social service providers said was, you know, if we could give them a map and say, you are here and you need to go there. You are at the hospital and you need to go to the Friendship Center. Or you are at Parkland Crossing and you need to go to Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal for some of the services they provide. They can circle on a map, this is where you are, this is where you need to be, and have people, you know, have something tangible in their hand, not super expensive because chances are they'll be thrown away or recycled at some point, but just a piece of paper that they can draw on. And it's specific to social services or supports of some way. So we said that we would also put where the mall is and the grocery stores. And there's a handful of other things. And then there's also supports in our community that don't have a physical presence, but could be accessed via phone. So those numbers would be on there as well.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. If there aren't any other questions or comments, call for the question. All those in favor of those report, opposed, none, carried. Thank you. Moving on then, moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the corporate report for March 13th by the Deputy City Manager. That's the report for February. Lisa, did you want to bring any highlights to that report? No, none. Any questions from Council regarding anything in the Deputy Manager's report? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of that report? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Sobring, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Be it resolved that the finance accounts, having been examined by Council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. We had 103 checks totaling $520,445.82. There were no voided checks in the range. There were 2 voided checks in past ranges, one for $36,974.86 to the Minister of Finance and one for $369.56 to a local contractor. And those checks will be redistributed once they're cleared. There were no electronic payments to report. So I'm wondering, are there any questions or comments regarding submission of that summary? Call for the question then. All those in favor? Thank you. The next motion also moved by Councillor Sobring and seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the unaudited financial statements before PSAB adjustments for the period ending December 31st, 2022. So these are the year-end financial statements of our general fund, and they highlighted the variances in that fund, the general fund balance sheet and income statement, the utility fund highlights of variances, and the utility fund balance sheet and income statement. Director of Finance was unable to be here today at the meeting to answer any questions if there are any, but we will attempt to discuss any of the issues or items, if you have any, from those 4 reports as presented by the Director of Finance. Any comments or questions from any members of council? Okay, seeing none. I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, call that motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the reserve report for the period ending December 31st, 2022. Any questions or comments regarding that report as it's been submitted? Seeing none, let's just double check, make sure that we don't have a... We do not. We're good. So again, seeing no questions, call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the analysis of the 2022 reserve balance. Again, call for the discussion. Any comments or questions regarding that? Call for the question then. All those in favor, please indicate. Thank you. And moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the memorandum from the Director of Finance dated March 8th, 2023 regarding the City of Dauphin's 2022 financial analysis, the unaudited, for the period ending December 31st, 2022. So as you can, word noted that the Director of Finance did provide a short memorandum regarding all those reports. Any questions or comments regarding that from anyone? Yeah. If anyone has anything, I would just like to indicate that looking over the numbers and the difficulty of last year from a financial standpoint in regards to the end of the pandemic, or the start of the end of the pandemic, the supply chain issues, and obviously the inflation, I'd actually like to commend city staff and our Director of Finance for having us just slip into a very, very minor budget deficit of just over $3,000, which on a budget of our size, an annual budget, I'd like to say that that was tremendous work done, considering what we're hearing in the news from Winnipeg and other major centers and the scale of their deficit. I know that in discussions with senior administration just after the election in October, indicating how the pencils got sharpened and everybody was very aware of the situation that we were in. So to come in at a very modest deficit, I'd again like to commend staff. But indications are that supply chain issues aren't over, and even though inflation is going down slowly, that does not leave us immune to those impacts for 2023. So new council will have to probably buckle up their chin straps and figure out how we finish up the final nickels and diming of the 2023 budget, which for the majority of us will be our first kick at the can in that process. So I'm looking forward to that sort of. Yeah, and Sean has his eyes on me for some particular reason. So, and sure, and just of note, we did have a surplus in our utility fund, so I'll turn that over to Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor talked about our small deficit of $3,600 in the general fund. We did have a surplus of $48,456.72 in our utility fund. That's been transferred to our utility reserve. Most of the surplus is related to work not being completed as budgeted. Thanks.
Any other, I've already asked this, any questions or comments from anyone else? And there were none, so I'm just going to throw that back out. Doesn't seem like there are, so I'll call for the question then. All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none. Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the 2022 Councillor Compensation Report as required by the Public Sector Compensation Disclosure Act. I'm sure you've all had a chance to take a look at that. You probably looked at your name first just to see where did I spend or where didn't I spend? But any comments or questions regarding that report from anyone? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Thank you. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the following engineering report for the March 13th regular council meeting. That's from the Director of Public Works and Operations. Our Director of Public Works is actually in the building, sitting over there. So does anyone have any questions or comments? I'll actually turn it over to Mike first. Is there anything you wanted to highlight, Mike, in that report? No? Okay. Any questions or comments for the Director? Yep. Councillor Sobring?
Yeah, I just want to comment on the water mains. You said it was really we got off light this year. Do you think that's because of the mild weather or because we're kind of getting caught up on some of the worst parts of the infrastructure?
Don't jinx it, because this is the time we actually start to see the most is frost gets pushed down in the late winter months here as things start to warm up. So I think it's just been a nicer winter than we've had the last year or two. We are starting to find, probably some historic leaks that we've fixed, but our infrastructure challenges are still there. So, yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments for the Director of Public Works? Seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the report, please indicate. Thank you. And thanks, Mike, for that. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be resolved that council accepts as information the following staff engineering report for March 13th from the building inspector. That's for February 2023. Any questions or comments regarding the building inspector's report? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Sobering, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the Protective Services Report for the March 13th regular meeting as presented and prepared by the Animal Control Officer for February 2023. Questions or comments regarding the Animal Control Officer report? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Opposed, none, carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that council accepts as information the minutes and reports from the following committees. The Dauphin and District Allied Arts Council, their regular council meeting of January 2023. Intermountain Watershed District, their January 18th, 2023 regular council meeting. The Fort Dauphin Museum, their regular meeting on February 1st. Their manager's report for March the 2nd. Their profit and loss budget versus actual for January to March, and their balance sheet, previous year's comparisons up to March 2023. The Dauphin Rec Services regular board meeting minutes of March the 1st. The Parkland Regional Library, their 2022 annual report and their 2022 audited financial statements, and the Public Library annual report for 2022 and their audited financial statements. Any councillors have any comments or questions regarding any of the committees that they may be sitting on regarding these reports? Seeing none, call for the question. Sorry, Kathy, was there? Sorry, Councillor Bellemare, you didn't put your finger up high enough. Go ahead.
It's that yellow thing there. Anyways, it was just interesting in the museum report where they talked about how the city equipment goes in to clean the snow in order to make the grounds ready for the gathering. And, sort of one of those things that you never think about it. And then when you get the information, you go, okay, that just makes so much sense. So obviously, I just wanted to point out there we have different parts of our community working hand in hand to make things happen. And I just wanted to point that out specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, now we'll call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Carried. Thank you. I'm supposed to ask opposed, but so far we haven't had much of that. So thank you. So far, so good. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Whereas 2023 marks the 50th anniversary of construction of the 4th Avenue Buckwold Bridge, and an inspection of the bridge by Pierce Solutions in June of 2020 identified refurbishments that would be necessary to remediate the deteriorating condition of the bridge deck, and recommended that the repairs be completed within 5 years. And whereas the City of Dauphin released an RFP on January 25th, 2023 for a bridge design and life cycle cost analysis and construction contract of administration services, which closed on February the 23rd, be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memo dated March 7th from the Director of Public Works recommending that Buckwold Bridge Design Project RFP be awarded to the sole bidder, Dillon Consulting, for a total cost of $111,247.80 plus taxes. Further be resolved that Council agrees that the recommendation from the Director of Public Works and Operations to award the Buckwold Bridge Design Project to Dillon Consulting for that cost to be drawn from the Federal Gas Tax Reserve, and authorizes the contract with Dillon Consulting to be signed and sealed by the Mayor and the City Manager on behalf of the City of Dauphin. Mike, would you like to just provide a bit of an update of the scope of that?
Yeah, sure. So as the memo stated, the bridge has been on our radar for a few years. We've undergone deck testing, the inspection in 2020, and in 2021 we did deck testing, or last year. I'm losing track of time here, but which the deck testing did confirm that there's some delamination in the concrete and that there's chloride intrusions. So the steel reinforcement in the concrete could be rusting and causing future issues. So this project, our original plan was to just get the design done, and then the contract admin would follow. But when we got looking at the timing, we thought that this would be the best, most economical sense, because there is a chance that this construction could take place this fall, hopefully. And our budget this year will speak to that when it comes out. So we had, I would say the design work is actually under what we had budgeted. Last year we had budgeted $80,000 for this. And it's $58,573 is the design work. And then the contract, or the construction administration and inspection parts, an additional 52,000 and change there. So that's why I broke it out in the memo, to try to make it make more sense when we see it budget time. But yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments for the Director of Public Works on that project? I'd just like to state, based on our discussions early on about infrastructure budgeting and the notion that it's reassuring to know that we're on top of some of these projects, that if we don't pay attention now, it will be a lot more later. And so, it's, again, appreciate, Mike, what we're doing in terms of looking to the future to keep us out of potential harm later. Charlotte?
Mike, you shared with us a while back cost of a new bridge-ish.
Yeah. I think a bridge of this size, it would be, 15, 20 million probably. If we had to do the abutments and the pier replacement and removing those piers, I could see it being upwards of 30 that are there right now. So we, fortunately, from the inspections, our substructure, so the piers and the abutments are in okay shape. We want to get on this work now to try to, get another 50 years out of this bridge. is the hope. So we are, as part of the works that we're assigning to Dylan, they're providing 3 rehabilitation options with life cycle cost analysis to that before we get into the design. They'll provide the options and recommendations to us, and we can make kind of the decision going forward how we approach the repairs. So yeah, it's a significant cost to replace a bridge, and that will only continue to grow.
Thank you.
And so just some clarity for me then, that's our bridge, correct?
That is our bridge.
And the
yes.
bridge by Vermilion Park is not
Manitoba.
our bridge, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Good. Then call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Thank you. Motion is carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Daly. Whereas the Dauphin Railway Museum has operated in Unit A at CNR Place. The building was built in 1912, and since the building was designated a heritage property and reopened in 2001, and whereas the city owns the building and maintains lease agreements with all other entities that occupy space at CNR Place, currently Manitoba Prosecution Services, Dauphin and District Handyvan, and MCW AGE Consulting Engineers, be it resolved that Council accepts as information a 10-year lease agreement between the city and the Dauphin Railway Museum for Unit A of CNR Place, and a memorandum dated March 10th, 2023, from the Deputy City Manager recommending that the lease agreement be approved. Further be it resolved that Council agrees with the Deputy City Mayor's recommendation and authorizes the 10-year lease agreement with the Dauphin Rail Museum to be signed and sealed by the Mayor and the City Manager on behalf of the City of Dauphin. Any questions or comments regarding this resolution? Seeing none, call for the question. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, all that carried. Councillor Bellemare, there's a second delay in the video, and I thought you were going to be opposed to that, but I got your finger up just in time. Perfect.
No, I was just saying that it's great to see this done because I know a lot of work has gone on this over a long period of time. So it's just lovely that it's clear on both sides. Both sides are happy. It's a long-term deal in place, and I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. And Councillor Stakalo, do you have something as well?
I don't have anything specific on that. I just want to apologize for my technical incompetency here. I'm not sure what's going on, but I think I have it resolved.
You have a teenager. Don't you have a teenager at home? Like, grab them. They will help you.
When I need their help, they're nowhere to be
They're
found.
Nowhere to be found. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds like a wonderful setup. Typical household setup. Moved by Councillor Ray and seconded by Councillor Daly. Whereas the Dauphin Neighborhood Renewal Corporation provides critical services for Dauphin's most vulnerable, including community breakfast and hot meals, and shower services and an overnight drop-in 7 days a week in conjunction with the Northwest Métis Council. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information correspondence dated February 28th from Amanda Novak, the Executive Director of the DNRC, requesting a letter supporting their application to the Dauphin District Community Foundation for funding to renovate the roof at their building at 37 3rd Avenue Northwest. Further be resolved that Council commends DNRC for their continued work in identifying and addressing the needs of Dauphin's homeless and under-resourced population, and approves the letter supporting their application to the foundation for said funding request. Any comments, questions from any member of Council? All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Sobering, whereas in accordance with Bylaw 02/2020, 30% of the accommodation tax collected by the City of Dauphin is allocated to the Tourism and Economic Development Reserve to support initiatives that will increase visitation and overnight stays in Dauphin hotels. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information a memo dated February 28th from Economic Development Manager advising the Economic Development Committee's Accommodation Tax Subcommittee received a request from the Dauphin Curling Club for financial support via this reserve in the amount of $3,000 towards the Manitoba Senior Curling Championship taking place in Dauphin in March of 2023, and recommending that this request be approved with the following conditions: that the organizing committee submit a financial report consisting of a breakdown in actual expenses and revenues within 60 days of the end of the event. And if the financial statements demonstrate a substantial profit, the organizing committee consider the sponsorship amount be rebated back to the fund for future use. Further be it resolved that the council agrees with the Economic Development Manager's recommendation and approves a request from the Dauphin Curling Club for $3,000 to support the Manitoba Senior Curling Championship with the noted conditions and with funds to be drawn from the Tourism and Economic Development Reserve. Economic Development Manager Martine is in the room. Martine, is there anything you wanted to add to that, to our motion?
Is it fun or passionate or dear and dear to his heart?
Sorry. Not really. Other than that, other than, well, you get me talking about this, and we'll sit here for a while. But the attraction strategy around trying to get more events to come to our community is a very important one for us economically. So we know from research and past visitor impact studies that overnight visits to our community contribute between $125 and $150 per night per family. These are in hotel stays, gas, restaurants. And so if you organize an event that has overnight stays and you have 150 out-of-town participants and it's 4 days, that adds up economically pretty quickly. So we want to stimulate organizing more events by providing support, and in the future we'll establish a fund for that, but we don't have that fund in place yet. So this occasion came up for us to test the waters and to see if those eligibility criteria that we're developing would work. So it came at a good time, and we met as a subcommittee and we all thought this was a worthy cause, except that we will need council's okay for it to use the funds at this point. So.
Thank you. And I just would add, I sit on the subcommittee and also on economic development. And I think that the timeliness of this request was actually excellent in the sense that we had discussed much of the criteria prior to receiving the request. And then when the request came in, meeting all of the criteria, it became a perfect test case for us. And considering the relationship historically that I personally have and others have had with the Dauphin Curling Club and Greg Thompson as the spokesperson of the club, we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to test our criteria as we're finalizing it. And in the dialogue back and forth with the curling club, I think it went as planned, or as I think we had pre-planned any of these requests. So considering that the event is bringing a significant number of people to our community, we'll see how it goes. And the two conditions, I think, were discussed as we were developing the process. And part of, and just to reaffirm, the second condition, which is a request if the fund or if the event is successful, that the event organizers would consider a contribution back to the city so that the event fund continually has a capacity to it so that we can continue to offer this to those groups and organizations that want to bring things to our community. So I think so far it seems like a win-win. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work that's gone into it this point, and that this event is coming up, and it looks like it's a good fit. Any other comments or questions from anyone? I call for the question, and all those in favor indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried. Thank you, Martine. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Daly. Be it resolved that Council accepts his information correspondence dated January 30th from Victor Braniak, Reeve of the Municipality of Clanwilliam Erickson, requesting financial support from the City of Dauphin toward repavement of the Erickson Airport. Further be resolved that Council forwards the funding request from the Municipality of Clanwilliam Erickson to the City of Dauphin's 2023 budget deliberations for consideration. Anyone comment or question about this, or? I have a question. Have we received any requests like this in the past? So Charla or anyone answer that for me?
So last year, the airport authority was made aware that the Erickson Airport and their runway was in need of repair. So we did hear about it last year, but I don't remember us actually coming to council for deliberations for the 2022 budget. So this is their ask now.
So we'll obviously talk about it at a future time, but I just wanted to see if anyone on the record wanted to comment. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? None carried, so there will be a further discussion on this. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated February 23rd from Dennis Forbes, president of the Fort Dauphin Museum, requesting continued financial support from the City of Dauphin for 2023. Be resolved that council approves the request from Dennis Forbes for a 2023 first quarter payment in advance of the overall appropriation approval based on the appropriation amount from 2022. Further be it resolved that council forwards the funding request from Fort Dauphin Museum to the city's 2023 budget deliberations for consideration. Any questions or comments from anyone on council? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? None carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laughlin. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated March 6th from Allison Moss, Director of the Parkland Regional Library, outlining the library's 2023 budget estimates as approved by the Library Board of Trustees. Further be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated March 6th from Ms. Moss, requesting a 2023 appropriation of $18,576.96 quarterly. Further be resolved that council forwards the funding request from the Parkland Library to the city's 2023 budget deliberations. Questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? None carried. Sorry for assuming the lack of opposition. One of these days, you guys are going to get me. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin, seconded by Councillor Ray. Be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated March 6th from Allison Moss, Director of the Dauphin Public Library, outlining the library's 2023 budget estimates as approved by the Library Board of Trustees. Further be resolved that council accepts as information correspondence dated March 6th from Ms. Moss, requesting an appropriation of $19,601.75 quarterly, and be it resolved that council forwards this request from the public library to the City of Dauphin's 2023 budget deliberations. Questions or comments? Seeing none. Question? There's a question. Your fingers need to be in the frame, Councillor Bellemare. Question is yours.
It's just a comment. I'm on both the Dauphin Public Library and the Regional Library, and the staff there has done a really good job there as well financially, because they've been hit by some of the same supply chain issues, fuel increase issues that the city has, and they've worked very hard to hold the line on the increases that they've asked for the city. It's a very minor increase, so I just wanted to point that out so we had some context to that request that's come in.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? None. Thank you. Then call for the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, carried. Moved by Councillor Ray, seconded by Councillor Sobering, whereas according to the City of Dauphin travel and expense policy, all out of province travel must receive prior approval by council. Be it resolved that council accepts as information a memorandum dated March 1st from the Economic Development Manager requesting permission for the Economic Development Manager and the Marketing Coordinator to attend the Sport and Tourism Canada Conference in Vancouver from June the 6th to the 8th. Further be resolved that council approves this out of province travel request and authorizes all costs to be borne by the City of Dauphin related to the conference and not other stuff, of course. Questions or comments from any member of council?
I just have one. I just know that if we're going to try and encourage people to travel to Dauphin, we also should travel outside of Dauphin, find out what other communities are doing to attract, and just get our finger on the pulse if we want to be that travel and tourism destination. So I think it's a good trip. Enjoy, learn lots.
Any other comments or questions? I hear it's kind of rainy in Vancouver in June, but you'll be inside learning. So, all those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Daly. Whereas the Noxious Weed Act requires every municipality to be responsible for the inspection and enforcement of the noxious weeds in their respective municipalities. And whereas the Noxious Weed Act requires every municipality to appoint by resolution a municipal noxious weed inspector each year for a term of 12 months, beginning on March 1st, be it resolved that Council authorizes the appointment of Ed Simpson, Park Lead Hand with Dauphin Rec Services, and Conrad Tamara, bylaw enforcement officer with the City of Dauphin, as noxious weed inspectors for the City of Dauphin as per the Noxious Weed Act for the period ending February 29th, 2024. Further be resolved that that administration forward the inspector's name and a copy of the appointment to the Manitoba Primary Agriculture Branch. Questions or comments regarding this? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Opposed? None. Carried. Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following invitation from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities under the umbrella How to Weather a PR Storm. That will be held on April 3rd, 2023, as on the front end of AMM convention. And further be resolved that all expenses related to council and senior administration attending this event be borne by the City of Dauphin. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, call the motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Lachlan and seconded by Councillor Sobering. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the councillors' reports for the regular council meeting of March 13th, 2023. Councillor Bellemare, how about you start, since we're virtually the farthest away?
Thank you. Council meetings that I've gone to, February, I attended the council meeting on the last Monday of February, the 27th, and Public Library and the Watson Art Board on the 28th. And then I got an opportunity to do some tours. We went to Vermilion Growers, and man, that's exciting what's happening out there. State of the art stuff that's happening. Plants are arriving in May. First crop will be coming a couple of months after that. So yeah, it's just wonderful for our community. Also had an opportunity to tour the airport, which is the first time I've been out there on a tour. And so it's important to understand what's there, what the needs are, because certainly the airport is part of, or is one of the facilities that we passed resolutions on. And on the 6th of March, I was part of the, I think we were there for what, about 7 hours for the 4-year integration plan. And people know that we did a marvelous city plan before the election, but now that we're after election, we've got new people, and that city plan is huge. It has to be broken down into manageable bites, and that's what the work was on March 6th, beginning that process to figure out what exactly we are specifically going to accomplish in the next 4 years. And on the 7th, went to the Firefighters Appreciation Evening, always a special time because that group of people is so important to our community for keeping us safe and helping with things that pop up here and there. Some fun stuff on Stephen Chakota from the Chamber is offering a tour to Portugal, and he did a presentation at the Active Living Center. My gosh, the room was full. So that's exciting to see Dauphinites looking at coming out and doing some fun stuff together and supporting the Chamber. And also to conclude, I would just like to thank Scott Carr for the budget analysis that he included in our package. It was extremely detailed. We could follow the money and see what's happening wherever. And I know that the work that he presented to us was the result of all the managers and people that are involved with handling money in our association, providing him with good reporting and good information. And we're certainly in good hands, and I very much appreciated that report. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bellemare. Councillor Sticalo, since you're also virtual, let's go with you, but you're closer virtual. You're not in the big smoke of Toronto, but
That is correct. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. For myself, February 27th, regular council meeting. On March 1st, we had a rec board meeting. On March 7th, as the city manager mentioned, the NAV Canada proposed service level changes to the City of Dauphin meeting. And then on March 8th, I too was in attendance at the Firefighters Appreciation Dinner, and just wanted to make note, again, it's been in the media as well as at the dinner itself, but just like to thank all the firefighters for all their hard work, and just mention the years of service. Conrad Demray, Cameron Popiel, Jordan Steiner, Mitchell Canton, Devin Kiesman, Chris Davidson, and Sabrina Anderson all received years of service awards ranging from 10 years to 5 years. And just the vibe in the room, seeing some of the, I want to say, younger group of firefighters, it was nice to see. They all, anytime I'm able to attend these events, you go there and you see the camaraderie and just the general level of friendship that these individuals have. And I mean, that's really critical and really key for the work that they do. A lot of times their lives are in each other's hands, and it's very dangerous work for sure. Also to mention at the dinner, they also mentioned Wayne Wells was to receive the Manitoba Association of Fire Chiefs Long Service Award for 35 years of service, which is amazing. Alvin Boguslawski will receive the Governor General's Exemplary Service Award for 40 years of service, another amazing milestone. And David Clark will receive a retirement plaque for 34 years of service. So the citizens of Dauphin and the citizens of the RM of Dauphin are in good hands when we have all of these dedicated firefighters willing and able to keep our city safe for sure. And with that ends my report.
thank you, Councillor Sticalo. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also attended the February 27th regular council meeting and did a couple of tours on March 1st at the fire department. Had an excellent meeting with Chief Avery. On the 2nd, went to the shop and the landfill tour with the mayor and Terry Ginnick. That was extremely interesting, informative, and gives you a real appreciation of what staff have to deal with and how they work. And really impressed finding out the knowledge it takes and the work that it takes to run a landfill. That was amazing to me. That was once you see it, it's sort of yeah, I should have figured that out. But you just assume we just take garbage there and dump it. Like there's a lot more going on there. So extremely interesting and informative, and I think for me makes me able to make more informed decisions when it comes to those kinds of things. Spent some quality time on a Zoom meeting with Wob Canoe's aide, Rebecca, with Martine, and we spent an hour talking about issues. So hopefully we had some impact with them. We recommended that the first thing they focus on if they want to make change is to get elected. That was our main point. Yeah. On the 6th, I attended the planning meeting with Mr. Dean Yaremchuk. That was good. On the 8th, Kathy went to the firefighters appreciation on the 7th, but I think Devin and I went on the 8th. But anyway, it was a wonderful evening, and I appreciate what Devin's report said. Yeah, he nailed it all. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Daly. I'll turn it over to Councillor Sobering.
Okay, somebody's fact checking over there on that side of the room. Okay, good job. On March the 2nd, I did attend the tour at Vermilion Growers. Really exciting progress being made there. Hope to see them be a big employer and add some growth to our already amazing city. March 6th, I attended the workshop with Dean Remchuk. Learned a lot about council responsibilities, governance, work collaborative. The city staff was there as well, which was really good, very positive, and learned quite a bit about the workings of municipal governance. On the March 9th, I attended a meeting regarding the new daycare space being introduced by the province, and a lot of it was in the economic development manager's report, but so far so good. There's more information now to digest about our obligations and how it's going to look going forward, but it looks like a very positive contribution to the city of Dauphin as well. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Sobering. And now I'll turn it over to apparently the goal scorer today at Noon Hour Hockey, Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor Boziak. February 27th, I attended the regular council meeting. March 1st in the morning, I attended the Recreation Committee meeting at the Cup and later took part in a tour of the fire hall. And I would like to thank Fire Chief Avery for taking the time to give us a tour of the facilities and equipment. March 2nd in the morning, I attended AMM virtual meeting for elected officials, which I found to be very informative. At 1 p.m. that day, I attended the Vermilion Growers Tour. And as Councillor Bellemare mentioned, it's very exciting to get inside that building for the first time for me and see the progress that they're making there. March 3rd, I attended the tour of the Dauphin Airport and the water treatment facility. I would like to thank both Gordy Love and Jeff Hume for taking the time to give us these tours. March 6th at noon, we had our audit committee meeting in council chambers. In the afternoon, I attended the integrated planning session in council chambers with HRM management. And on March 8th, I attended the Firefighters Appreciation Night. Just a reminder that on March 25th, we can all take part in Earth Hour by turning off our electric devices for 1 hour between 8:30 and 9:30. And also, if anyone is interested in getting out to watch a little volleyball on the weekend, Parkland Vipers 16U girls team is hosting a tournament at the DRCSS on Saturday and Sunday. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Ray. And Deputy Mayor Laughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A pretty quiet couple weeks for me, but when it comes to my report, on February the 27th, I attended the regular council meeting here at City Hall. On March the 2nd, I too took a tour of Vermilion Growers. Just as mentioned, lots going on in there, especially inside the building. You wish you could just kind of pick everyone up in the community and put them inside there so they could see what's going on. It's quite fascinating for sure. Again, thank you to the group that took us around and gave us the excellent tour there. March 6th, I attended an audit and finance meeting here at City Hall. As mentioned earlier tonight by the mayor, I just want to say again, thanks to all the staff for doing such a great job with this, especially the Director of Finance, Scott Carr. March 11th, I was at the Kings' final regular season home game against the Portage Terriers. They won both their games on the weekend against the league's top team, so they're likely going to make playoffs, but just wanted to congratulate the Kings on a successful regular season and hopefully a deep playoff run. And that pretty much ends it for my report, but I do want to say tomorrow the Parkland Chamber hosts 3 events. I think most of them are pretty much full now. The lunch series goes at noon. The AGM is right after, and the celebration evening is at the Country Fest Community Cinema tomorrow night. So looking forward to all those events. With that being said, that ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Laughlin. Just to sort of wrap things up, I attended a lot of the functions that council attended over the last couple of weeks, and I too, I'd like to actually acknowledge Trudy as well for setting up all of the visits with the different facilities that we went to. I know it's sometimes that's the hardest job, is just herding the cats and getting us all in the same room at the same time. So thank you for setting that up. It was very informative, and I think it's really important that, especially as new councillors and as the new mayor, that we get a sense of what we're really trying to operate and how it operates, and the actual the competency that I think I've seen just about everywhere, from the front end at City Hall to the folks that work in our facilities, and the expertise that many of them exhibit blows me away. I thought it was just really cool being in the water treatment plant and just seeing the source water, and then seeing the water that comes out the other end, and to think that that's there, and we're running it, and we are on the front end of the technology and the science that goes into having safe, healthy drinking water. I think it's pretty spectacular. So we ran out of time to see the back end of the system, so we didn't get out to the sewage lagoon. But Jeff promised that he can take us there anytime we want to go and see the back end of things, and we said that we did want to see that as well. I want to also acknowledge all the councillors and staff that attended the planning session last Monday. For me, it's really important to get council and senior managers in the same room at the same time to discuss the big issues that are facing us as a city. And I think that, I expressed at the end of that evening, I was completely exhausted. And those of you that know me know I have a tough time listening sometimes, but it was overwhelming to hear the information that was being shared, both by the facilitator and by the rest of council and staff that were present, and some of the ideas that I think were percolating from that session based on the planning that's already done. And my real goal as the mayor is to really try and tie in all of the planning that's been done so far, to not recreate any of it, but to integrate it, to make it all fit together and work to our mutual benefit. So I thought that was the really important first step for us, and we'll be up to senior staff and council to decide how much deeper we want to delve into that. But the notion of creating efficiencies and all the planning and energy that's gone into planning to this point is my real objective with that. I'd like to echo Councillor Sobring's comments regarding the daycare meeting. I am absolutely overwhelmed by how good this looks at this stage for us as a community, and I hope that all morphs into a reality for us very soon. I just want to bring your attention to two other events that I participated in addition to the ones that were mentioned by others tonight. There was a call that I had with Jason Gilmore from the Dauphin Railway Museum. It was orchestrated by Dan Mazur, the MP, and it was with Via Canada. And just to talk about possibilities in regards to our current Via rail service, and what do we as a city need to do to enhance or take advantage of that current service and moving forward. So that was the first step to integrate and get involve some of the other organizations in our community, and our intent to bring more people to our community and spend some time here. And hopefully that turns into something positive for us. And then I did bring greetings with Reeve Sersky at the Under 13 Provincials, which was the first, I think, big event of the season as hockey is winding up. And so that was good to see 9 different teams in town for the weekend. And I encouraged folks to spend some money in town if they were so inclined, but I'm sure they did. And so with that, I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor of the reports as presented, please indicate. Anyone opposed? None. All that carried. And I'd like to make the motion, moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor Ray, be resolved that the council meeting be recessed